On everybody, it's JetsCentral coming back with episode 7 of my free agency preview series, and in this one we're going to be talking about former Atlanta Falcon running back Tevin Coleman, right? 6'1", 205, former Indiana Hoosier. Now Coleman's a guy who I really like, and in this video I wanted to cover some of the pros, some of the cons surrounding Coleman, and if the Jets should go out and make a push to sign this guy come mid-March. Now I know I kind of touched on it before, but Coleman right now, I'm almost viewing Coleman as like a hidden gem in this upcoming class. Everybody seems to be talking about, the big names. Everybody's getting caught up in where the big names are going to go. Defensively, guys like DeMarcus Lawrence, guys like Jadeveon Clowney, I guess D Ford. Offensively, Le'Veon Bell, Mark Ingram, Matt Paradis, right? You factor in Antonio Brown possibly getting traded as well. And everybody wants to know, where are the superstars going? Where are these amazing players going? But nobody's talking about the second tier guys. And I believe Tevin Coleman is spearheading the second tier. Okay, this guy is completely flying under the radar. This guy's going to be a huge steal for whoever picks him up. And let's get into it, right? The first positive about Tevin Coleman right now is that he's a versatile running back. He could hurt you inside the tackles. He could hurt you outside the tackles. You could throw the ball to him. You could pitch the ball to him. You could run trick plays with him. Wildcats, stuff like that. End arounds. Tevin Coleman is a really athletic player. He has a really nice combination of speed and power, and it's weird too because 6'1", 205, that doesn't really call for like a shifty back or like a speed back, but he plays with a weird combination of both, right? Where he's quick, he's agile on his feet, he's nimble, but at the same time he also has that power to him. He can truck over a cornerback that's going head up with one-on-one in space. He can make a linebacker miss. Very good out of the backfield, really good in the flats, and he actually reminds me of another running back years ago. He played for the Buffalo Bills. He played for Florida State. A guy by the name of Carlos Williams. He was another guy who, he didn't really have blazing speed, and he wasn't like a traditional power back like a Leonard Fournette or, for the Jets fans out there, like Chris Ivory. He's not a power back, but he seems to be like a bigger dude, but nimble on his feet. Tevin Coleman is that same style of player, but I think he's obviously better than Carlos Williams, and he's just a matchup nightmare, right? And I almost feel bad for Coleman because throughout his NFL playing days, really to rewind, he came out of Indiana. He was an amazing college player. I remember watching him his junior year of Indiana, with up in the Big Ten. He dominated. Okay, he absolutely was a force on the offense side of the football. I mean, Big Ten, you have great defenses all around. Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin. You have great defenses in the Big Ten, and this guy almost made it look like child's play. Okay, I mean, this guy, I believe, had over 2,000 yards rushing his final year of college. He gets drafted in the 3rd round by ATL, and he was almost kind of, he's playing second fiddle to Devontae Freeman, right? Devontae Freeman's kind of Batman, and Coleman's kind of Robin, right? He was the sidekick. He wasn't the featured back. He wasn't the #1 go-to lead horse type of guy. He was just kind of the 3rd down back to catch swing passes, to come out when Freeman needed a breather. And yes, he excelled in his role, but I believe the current teams out there that could be signing or interested in signing Coleman, like guys like the New York Jets, guys like the Eagles, the Buccaneers possibly, maybe the Miami Dolphins. I view those teams right now as they're almost looking at Coleman as saying like, okay, this guy's flying under the radar right now. He could do so much more than what the Falcons asked of him to do, and he doesn't have a lot of wear and tear on his body, right? This guy, it's not like a situation like Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon's 26, Tevin Coleman's 25, but everybody's looking at Le'Veon Bell as some beat-up old man, where they're looking at Tevin Coleman as some, like, fresh young kid on the scene. Even though they're really similar in age, Le'Veon has had so much damage to his body. He's taken so many hits. He's caught so many passes, and he's played in so many games where Tevin Coleman is kind of, he's a fresh running back. He hasn't had the beating of a normal 25-year-old starting running back in the National Football League. Since he's kind of been that featured back, right, the 3rd down kind of guy that doesn't get all the snaps, he is almost benefiting from that in the free agency market, where his best football is ahead of him as opposed to behind him, like a guy like Le'Veon Bell. I mean, with Le'Veon Bell, you're almost hoping to get 2 to 3 years, or really 2 years of elite play, third year really good play, and then the rest you're just kind of paying him to be a solid player for the team. Tevin Coleman, you're going to be signing this guy with the hopes of the whole contract. He's going to be playing at a above average to really good level. That's really, when you look at Tevin Coleman, what did he do in Atlanta? He did everything asked of him to do, and he did it, like I said, he did it at a high level. Go ask any Atlanta Falcons fans; they love this guy. They love this guy, okay? Devontae Freeman, battled with injuries kind of throughout his Falcons career. Don't get me wrong, I love Freeman, versatile back. He's kind of a lot like Coleman in the sense that he could do a lot of different things. But Freeman is he is a better running back than Coleman. Let's make that clear. Freeman is better. But all in all, when Freeman could not play, when Freeman would come out of the game, the Falcons offense didn't miss a beat. It's not like, these teams out there that when you take away a superstar, when you take away a star player, all of a sudden the offense just completely falls apart, obviously outside of quarterbacks. It wasn't the case. When Coleman was in the game, the Falcons offense was completely fine. The wheels kept on rolling, right? The Falcons offense was fine. Now Coleman, I'm just looking at him from what he can do, right? I'm not really looking at, and granted, it's not the best way to look at things. I'm almost looking at Tevin Coleman, okay, like potential, as opposed to production, because the numbers aren't really there, right? The numbers aren't really what you want in a starting featured number one, like lead horse type of back. And if the New York Jets were to go out and try to sign this guy, you would assume that the Jets they're not going to be going out there actively signing this guy to be a third down back. Okay, I don't really think Coleman wants that. I think he's looking at himself like, hey, I'm fresh. I've given everybody out there, all the small teams out, or all the NFL franchises out there, a small sample size on what I can do. Go back, look at my tape at Indiana. I can go inside, I could go outside. You could throw the ball to me. I could do it all. I don't have any beating on my body. Let me be the lead horse. And I feel like teams out there, there's a select few teams, possibly the 49ers as well, maybe even the Oakland Raiders. They're looking at this guy and they could be saying to themselves, all right, we could have something here. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's paying any interest to Coleman, but we could sign this guy. We don't have to give him some mega deal like Le'Veon Bell, like a huge 4-year, just a super deal. We don't have to do that. We could pay this guy reasonable. We could get a lot of production out of this guy. We might not be getting an A+ player, but we can surely be getting a B- to B player, okay, for a huge drop off in cash. So all in all, I really like Coleman, but there are some negatives, some red flags surrounding Tevin Coleman. Number one, he's never really been, as far as his NFL career goes, that number one back. I know I kind of touched on it before, but he doesn't have any experience playing first down, second down, third down, first down, second down, third down, being in that lead role, being that featured back, to where you all of a sudden are game planning your offense around Tevin Coleman. He's never really done that. He's been the featured back. He's been the sidekick. He's played, second fiddle to Freeman. So if the New York Jets were to go out and sign this guy, you don't really know. You're just kind of betting on what you hope he can do, not what he has done. That's one thing that's kind of separates Le'Veon and Coleman, is that Le'Veon Bell can go into any franchise right now, all 32 teams, and say, I'm a perfect fit for your offense. I can help out in a myriad of different ways, and I've done it before at an extremely high level. Whereas Tevin Coleman, it's kind of like, okay, we're hoping that you can do that, right? I haven't shown you. Tevin Coleman hasn't shown us that he can do it, but we're hoping that he can, okay? Can that work? Of course. But at the same time, it's not proven, right? So you're almost taking a gamble. You're almost just, it's a roll of the dice. You don't necessarily know if Coleman can do it, and if he can't do it, all of a sudden you're sitting there kind of with your hands cuffed. You're cuffed to him. And now you're just stuck. You don't have that number one lead back because you paid a lot of money to a guy that can't be it. So that's, number one. And really, con number two is that he has no experience. He hasn't had like an 1,000-yard rushing season, right? He hasn't had like some crazy season yet. He's just kind of been that featured guy. I know it kind of ties into the first con here, but all in all, it's just a small sample size. You don't really know what you're getting for sure with Coleman. With Le'Veon, you do. With Mark Ingram, you do. But with Coleman, it's a roll of the dice. Okay, so I guess we could kind of sum up both of those red flags into one thing. You don't necessarily know what you're getting. You could guess on it. You can make an educated guess. You could kind of watch all the tape, go back to his college days, interview him, whatever. Get this guy in for meetings and stuff like that. But all in all, do you really know if this guy could be the lead guy, the #1 running back of the team, you don't. You don't know that, okay? So that's really what it comes down to. But all in all, I love Coleman. I think he would do a lot for Sam Darnold, right? And if we miss out on Le'Veon Bell, I think Tevin Coleman would be an amazing, amazing piece, kind of like a runner-up piece. And some could even make the argument, how I can make the argument, that Coleman should be the priority over Le'Veon because you don't have to pay him $50, $60 million. You don't have to sign him to a 4-year, $60 million deal like you would with a Le'Veon Bell. You could sign him to a 2-year deal worth, I don't know, $25 million, $23 million, 3 years, $31 million. You could sign Tevin Coleman in that range and be betting on getting the best out of his career with his best football in front of him as opposed to behind him. So I'll leave it there. Let me know your thoughts on Tevin Coleman. Should the New York Jets should the Jets go out and try to sign this guy come March 13th? And I definitely think we should. Okay, I think we should make a push. Le'Veon or no Le'Veon, Coleman needs to be on our list. Whether it's a consolation prize, whether it's, if we make him #1 priority, whatever, Coleman should be on the Jets' radar. He will help the Jets' offense out tremendously. Also, quick little point before I end the video, you look at Adam Gase's system down in Miami, they try to get the football out of Tannehill's hands quickly. Tevin Coleman is a master at getting open in the flat. I mean, Kenyon Drake is kind of a similar pass-catching running back. Yes, they did have Frank Gore, but Frank Gore, he balls out everywhere he goes. He's a great veteran leader. But Kenyon Drake is really the threat in Miami's running back room. And overall, if Adam Gase kind of takes over that same philosophy of getting the football out of Sam Darnold's hands quickly, you need a running back out of the flat that could get open, that could be the security blanket for the young quarterback. And that's exactly what Coleman has been doing in Atlanta for his whole career. Granted, again, not putting up amazing numbers, not rushing for thousands and thousands of yards, but he's consistent. He does what he's asked to do, and he excels at it. So I'll leave it there. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.